Hey guys, this is Nefarious411 with episode 26 of my Monster Feed the Beast server play series. In the previous episode, we were able to get some of the automated processing of income from quarries, anything going into the Ender chest, and using the Ender IO machines to grind it up and smelt it. And it's been working pretty well. I went ahead and threw all of the ores that was available in my ME drives, and I'm just missing some of the other things like aluminum, but I'm not too worried about that. I got the other major ones like gold and silver, lead. Platinum doesn't work. It's not compatible with the mod. There are certain things like uranium that won't actually go inside of the sag mill. I haven't tried... Let me try this. I haven't tried smelting it. Okay, so it doesn't work in there either. So those will probably be ad hoc things. Down here I did add several additional lava generators because I was losing power fast due to the amount of ores that I was processing. If you take a look in here, I can actually see I took the energy conduits, the extra utility energy conduits, off of the lava generators and started using the Ender IO conduits, and this does allow me to see the input as well, which is kind of cool. And we can see that from these generators we're getting about 560 RF per tick. With the processing going on, we're averaging around 530, so we are gaining more power than we're using. But I also put the pulverizer down here just in case we want to do something like this. There might be certain ores that we won't be able to process using the Ender IO, which is really unfortunate, but I kept around the pulverizer just for that case. So we might be doing a couple of things in this episode. I want to continue getting all of the ore processing and more of the technical side of things. But in between episodes, I did notice that I was running out of potentia fairly quickly in my thermostatic harness. So although I said that I wasn't going to do a lot of Thaumcraft moving forward, this is something that I probably should take care of soon. That way I can refill my warded jar with potentia anytime that I need the ability to fly. Because that is the flight mechanic that I chose. I know that there's other ones on the system on this pack, but that's the other one that I chose, and I'm enjoying it for the most part. But there was something that I discovered in between episodes. Ender IO, I can't type in there. Ender IO has a block called Ender IO, which is kind of interesting. So in between, I did construct one of these. You can see it right here. And whenever I place it, it looks really cool. I don't even know what to say about that. That is one fancy looking block. Alright, so the way you use it, let's say that you have the Staff of Traveling in your hand. Obviously you can go between all of the different, what are these called? Travel anchors. But you can also right click on the Ender IO block, and it gets a little fuzzy for a second. But you have the ability, let me see if I can drag this a little bit. You can drag it around and see the blocks, or I guess it's 6 block diameter, or radius, where you can actually see all of the different blocks, and you can interact with them. So if I right click on the crafting terminal, I can access it. And this doesn't matter how far you are away. So if I'm all the way up here, I can locate it, right click, and I can interact with things. I can even go go into my pattern encoder and encode a different pattern. I can right-click on one of the drives and take things out of the ME drives. This allows you to basically interact with anything around the Ender IO block. I can even look at the controller and see all of the energy it's using and how much is stored and stuff like that. That is pretty cool. It's not ideal with being able to order things, but I can access the ME terminal, crafting terminal directly. So I might be utilizing that quite a bit moving forward. Being able to create a system where I have the warded jar being filled all the time, I needed to create another one of these alchemical furnace and arcane alembics. So let me actually, give me that. Bring this down here. I went ahead and crafted this stuff. It's no different than the way I crafted it before. And I don't really need any particular place for it. It doesn't have to be in the Thaumcraft area. Well, I might as well put it there since it's related to what I'm doing. So let me find a good place for this. Maybe right here. I can always move it later. Not a big deal. Get out of that water. There we go. And I only needed the 2 arcane alembics because if I'm going to use coal for this, it only has the 2 different aspects on it. So let me go ahead and put some coal in there, and let me go ahead and burn some up, and it will actually be added to these arcane alembics. There we go. We have Ignis and Potentia. And to make sure that they always retain the same aspect or the same essence in there, I am going to put labels on the front of these. There we go, and there. And I have Essentia tubes, and I don't need the Ignis, so I am probably going to put that in the back in a void jar. There we go. Cool. And now I should be able to swap back and forth between bottles. That way one can be filling up while I'm using the other. So let me grab one more label. There we go. Well, I guess I could have labeled the void jar as well for the Ignis. I like having things labeled. It's not important on this particular setup, but it's nice to have. That way I can see what's going on. And that should almost be done. I should be able just to swap jars here in a couple of seconds as soon as this fills up more. Is that actually moving? Yeah, it is moving. So let me come back whenever this jar is full. Alright, so the jar is full, so now I should be able just to swap it with my partially filled one, and it will go ahead and put the rest of the Potentia in there, and I believe this will stop as soon as the jar's full, so we don't have to worry about babysitting it to make sure that it will stay that way. With the Ignis, it'll go ahead and void all of the additional, so we don't have to swap that one out. But we're not going to be using void jars for the Potentia because I don't want any of the Potentia to be wasted just because it became full. So I think that should be good. And now we have, oops, now we have a way to get our flight back without having to wait a long time for Potentia to refill. And that will help out considerably. So let me run back down in my basement. I kind of want to get rid of the lava generators. Um, they serve a really good purpose right now. And I did create, you can probably see them in the back, I did create these Stirling generators, but they were only producing 10 RF per tick. Um, really nowhere close to what I'm going to need. But with the lava generators, 80 RF per tick on, what is that, 7 generators, it's able to handle quite a bit of the load that we put on the capacitor banks. But I might want to start thinking of some other mechanic for generating RF. And I looked at the other extra utilities generators, and there are a few that do produce more. It doesn't actually show on the screen until you actually craft it. But I think the heated redstone generator will actually take redstone, and the hotter it gets, the more energy it produces. But I don't want to really deal with that. So I think I'm going to go with Big Reactors. So mod.big reactors. There we go. And this, I'm going to have to go off screen and take a look at all I need in order to do this. Alright guys, so I went off camera and I did quite a bit of stuff. I think I started this recording a couple of days ago, and a couple of things that I did was to clear out this bottom area, as you can see. And Patrick came over just to see what I was doing, and for the big reactor I constructed all of the parts that I'm going to need, and I put them in this little backpack. These backpacks are pretty cool. Let me see, it's really easy to create. Those are from the backpack mod. I created the ones right here from Project Red. They're just woven cloth, which is a stick with string around it, and any kind of dye in the middle of those. And it creates additional inventory. That way I don't have to fill up my inventory with all of these blocks. But for the big reactor, I am going to do a 7x7x7 structure. And I think that is probably one of the most efficient ways of doing this. Big reactors are multi-block, so whenever we complete this, we will see it form into a multi-block structure. And I think this room is basically going to be my power room. All of the stuff up there, as you remember, these were the lava generators, and it's pushing up into the capacitor bank. I'll probably also move the capacitor bank down here, because this is basically the power and power generation. So let me go ahead and create my 7x7 platform, and I think that's right. 7, 7, yeah. And this will be 7 tall, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, come on, 7. Alright. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For some reason it didn't look like 7. Alright, so let me go ahead and fly over here and try to get the rest of these. I may have to construct some more of these reactor casings, because for some reason I thought I grabbed them all. I did create patterns for these, so they will be fairly quick to actually construct. So let me try to make this all the way over. Keep forgetting that I can fly. And I went ahead and replaced my potentia jar so that I have more flight energy. This is not placing very well. There we go. And grab this other stack. Cool. So now I am just going to fill in some of the sides. Blocks don't want to place for me for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe with server lag, I'm not sure. I was having internet issues the other day. I'm not sure if I'm still having the same internet issues. Or it could be just these particular blocks. Because if I right-click on any of these blocks with an empty hand, it thinks that it's part of a reactor. So it might just be because of that particular mechanic. So let me put these in. Alright. Oops, forgot one side. There we go. And the next step that I want to do is put these Yellorium fuel rods, and basically this is going to be where the fuel is going to be added. And of course, since this is a reactor, it'll have some sort of chemical reaction that takes place, and that's what gives us our power. The design for this is fairly efficient if I can actually place the blocks. And I'm missing one. Oh, there it is. It was just a lag. Alright, so let me go ahead and construct the rest of the reactor casings because I'm missing a couple, and I will be back. Alright, so let's hope that I actually have everything that I need this time. I need these power taps, and I'm going to put those on all four sides where I left the little spots. There we go. And I'm not sure which side I'm going to want things on. I'm probably just going to do it on this side. I am going to have the controller, and I need the access ports. I might as well just grab the rest of this. So here's the controller, and I will put one access port there, and that will be in inlet mode. And on this side, I'm going to put this one in outlet mode, because any reactor is going to have some sort of waste that you need to be able to pump out of it. And let me go ahead and put in my reactor glass, and this just basically allows us to see into the reactor. I don't know if you need it. I got this design off of the internet. There's many different ways of doing it, but I think this one is supposed to be pretty efficient. There we go, and last one. Nice. Alright, so at the top, all of these are going to be topped off with the Yellorium, or the reactor control rod. There we go. And in between, these diamond blocks are here mainly for, I guess, some sort of chemical reaction that the Yellorium will have. Hard to place. There we go. Nice. And now, let me just double check before I actually put my coolant in that this actually forms into my multi-block structure. Okay, cool. It does. You can tell because all of these become connected. if I were to break one of these, it just goes back to all of the individual casing blocks. So nice. So now, now that we know that I didn't miss any spots, that's always a risk, I need to put the coolant in here. And for the coolant, I chose, based upon the internet's design, resonant ender. So I have with me a hardened portable tank, and this contains 16 buckets of resonant ender. So I should be able just to grab that, and I don't want to fall in this because if you fall in it, you'll just teleport to a random spot. And fortunately, because of how the resonant ender works, it behaves, it's more a falling liquid, and you don't have to actually fill it up from the bottom. So we should be able to just deal with the top layer. As long as I don't accidentally misclick one of these, we should only need the 16 buckets, which basically took 64 ender pearls to melt down. Looks like I am running low. Hopefully we make it all the way around. Can't remember if I got that one. Yes, that's a bucket's worth. Whenever it's flowing, it's hard to tell. And I think that one's the last one right here. Nice. So it shows flat, non-moving on the top. I can't, let me just go ahead and jump in it, and you can see that I just teleported in a random location. It's sort of like throwing an ender pearl, but it's going to be a random location that you're going to land. So you got to be careful whenever you're working with any of the resonant ender. So let me go ahead and top this off, seal it back up, and there we go. Now we have our big reactor. And I put the controller on this side mainly because this is where my travel anchor is. That way I can travel back and forth fairly easily. Alright guys, sorry about that. For some reason, whenever I right-clicked on the reactor controller, it booted me off the server. And I think it's because I had the reactor casings in my hand. I don't know, but whenever I right-click with my empty hand, it shows me the reactor control, and the status is offline, which is correct. So I went ahead and crafted up some yellorium ingots, which is basically taking the yellorium ore, and I'm not seeing it in here. Let me see if I can get the recipe for this. Smelting the yellorium dust, which is basically just grinding up with the sag mill the yellorite ore, and that produces the yellorium dust. And then all we have to do is come over to our inlet. Let me remove NEI and just put that in there, and there we go. So that took as many as it could, which is a little bit over a stack. And you can see here what the fuel status is. We have the 5 fuel rods that we added earlier, and that's the 5 columns. And let's go ahead and turn this on and see what happens. So right now we're producing about 13,000 RF per tick. 14,000 RF per tick. It's filling up the energy buffer fairly quickly. And our heat is around 1300 Celsius. I think that's good. I think that's okay. And we're almost full. That is actually going up really quickly. Nice. So now that it's full, we don't really need to run this. I don't know if it self-regulates. It doesn't look like it self-regulates. So let me go ahead and deactivate the reactor. You can see that the casing heat will go down as soon as it's offline. And we do have a little bit of waste. I'll have to figure out in the upcoming episode what to do with that waste. But for now, let me go up and grab these capacitor banks. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunate or not, but these are all full of energy. 18, I think that was right. So we won't be able to see how much energy transfer that we will need. Wonder if I should just do a different design on this. And yes, you can hear my spawner area. It is actually not that far away from where I put the reactor, the power room, so I might end up having to move the mob spawn area. I wonder if I could just do a wall of these capacitor banks. Right now I'm holding a ridiculous amount of RF, 90 million RF, but it doesn't hurt to keep increasing. So let me craft up at least 2 more of these capacitor banks. Let's see. That is doing the alloys, and I did find one issue that we'll need to solve in the upcoming episodes. Whenever you're requesting things that use multiple types of alloys, it's possible that the recipes will come in a mixed order, and then it'll just get stuck. And I think it's because of, let me see, yeah, these two. If you need to create a something that uses vibrant alloy, this uses energetic alloy, and it's possible that some of the items from the energetic alloy and maybe an ender pearl will both get pushed into the alloy smelter, and it'll just get everything gummed up. So then you have to basically take things out of here and let the system kind of fix itself. So let me come in here. I got one of these, and let me go ahead and get some of those energy conduits, and I don't know which kind that I want. Let me turn NEI back on and turn on Ender IO. The thing is, with Ender IO, it has these more complex ones, which is the Ender energy conduits, which transfer 20,000 RF per tick. Well, I guess I already have some. I should probably go ahead and craft a little bit more, because I think coming off of the reactor, we don't want any kind of bottleneck. And I'm hoping that these mods are compatible. See, that did turn green, which does indicate to me that it is outputting something. I can hook up one of these and see if it actually transfers, and it does look like it is transferring. But obviously with one bank you're limited to 1,000 RF per tick input and 1,000 output. But whenever it's in the multi-block structure, you have an increased to the amount of input and output. So let me go ahead and connect this to the bank multi-block structure, and you can see that it is filling back up at a reasonable pace, actually. And it's almost full. And it's drained about half of the energy of just filling up. Oop, wrong one. So let me grab that other bank and put that there. Cool. So now we're up to 20,000 RF per tick of the maximum I/O input-output. So that is actually pretty good. And I could always change this one to only be input to make it more directional. That way the capacitor bank knows that it's not transferring energy that way. And we're full. And that is 100 million RF. That's awesome. So, I think that we'll probably do it for this episode. I think we got quite a bit of accomplished with being able to resupply power back into the capacitor bank, and this will do it in a more efficient way, and it'll actually produce a lot more power and a lot more quickly. So I should be able to remove all of these lava generators in between episodes, and I might try to put that there. Might have to run some cable past it in order for me to see. Let me just double check that this will actually work. I might have to put it on this line as well. Otherwise it's not going to be able to detect the power coming in. So let me swap that real quick. I don't really like it here. I think it's kind of ugly that way. Whoa. 10 million or 10,000 RF per tick. Wow. That is really cool. Alright, so as I was saying, I probably do need to wrap it up. I did check the time earlier and I was getting pretty long on this episode. I might have to trim it a little bit. But if you could hit the like button below, rate the video, it would greatly help me out. And also, if you like the series, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. But for now, this is goodbye.